Welcome to today's exclusive webinar titled Countdown to Christmas, How the Markets Are Shaping Up. Brought to you by Ramver Financials in partnership with ATR Asset Management Incorporated or ATRAM and Sun Life Asset Management Company Incorporated or SLAMC. Again, it is very much wonderful seeing you all today. If you still don't know, this is Juan Mancha from Ramver Financials and I will be your host for today. Kamusta naman kayo mga ka-RFF? I really do hope everyone's keeping safe and healthy. And narinig nyo na ba yun? Nafe-feel nyo na ba yung energy ko? Because we are just a few moments away from closing 2024. At ilang araw na lang rin ay Pasko na. Nagsisimula na ng patugtugin ng mga Christmas carols sa mga malls. Madalas na naman natin maririnig si Sir Jose Marichan. And as we know, ito na rin ang panahon ng bigayan ng mga 13th month pay and bonuses sa mga kumpanya. Para naman sa mga kaibigan natin na entrepreneurs o negosyante, ito ang mga panahon kung kailan mas malaki ang ating mga kinikita. Well, hopefully after attending our webinars previously, we already have savings and investments as top of mind whenever there are windfalls like this. And of course, are conscious enough to always set aside some funds for the future. Which leads us to the question saan nga ba magandang i-invest ang mga ito? Lalo na't siguro nadidinig natin, gumaganda na naman ang takbo ng stock market. Magandang mapag-usapan natin ang mga iba't ibang instrumentong pwede nating i-consider upang mas ma-maximize natin ang growth and earnings potentials ng mga funds na ito. Again, today's webinar won't be complete as we will be joined by ATRAM's Head of Distribution, Mr. Benjamin Bitong, SLAMC's Alternative Distribution Channel Manager, Ms. Lurcy Cuenca, and our very own Chairman, Mr. Rex Mendoza. Now, ATRAM is a leading asset and wealth manager engaged solely in fund management. They are focused on delivering superior investment performance and high-quality service to its clients. Being a standalone trust corporation, this allows ATRAM to efficiently access markets, effectively source investment instruments at best execution levels, and of course, make use of local market intelligence and experience proven critical to investing. On the other hand, Sun Life Asset Management Company Incorporated, or SLAMC, is the largest non-bank affiliated asset management company in the Philippines in terms of AUM. Now, SLAMC is a member of the Sun Life Group of Companies. It is the fund manager and distributor of the Sun Life Prosperity Funds. Since 2000, SLAMC has advocated financial prosperity with a wide advisor and distributor network, including Ramver Financials. Besides the AUM, SLAMC recognizes the importance of prudent financial management and consistent fund performance to its more than 200,000 clients. Now, our guests will discuss the factors affecting the local and global markets today. Likewise, they are here to share with us the potential investment opportunities that we can all look forward to in the coming months. Indeed, it is such a great time to consider diversifying our investments into these highly recommended funds once again. Now, with the current performance of our recommended mutual funds, it is really high time that we discuss these and consider diversifying our assets to these funds. And one of our recommended funds is the ATRAM Alpha Opportunity Fund. The ATRAM Alpha Opportunity Fund's investment objective is growth through capital appreciation. The fund seeks to deliver returns over the long term by investing primarily in equity securities with a focus on companies with strong growth potentials that are not included in the Philippine Stock Exchange Composite Index. And its current year-to-date performance is at 25.99%. The next on the line is the ATRAM Philippine Equity Opportunity Fund, and its investment objective is to seek long-term capital appreciation by investing primarily in equity securities of companies based or operating in the Philippines. And its year-to-date performance is 13.95%. Now, when we talk about global funds, here are our recommendations. The Sun Life Prosperity World Voyager Fund gives you access to global equities to help you grow and diversify your US dollar investments. And its current year-to-date performance is 16.65%. The next fund is the Sun Life Prosperity World Equity Index Feeder Fund. This fund allows you to diversify your portfolio by investing in global companies across developed and emerging markets. Now, the fund gives you access to the global equities market in a single fund while enabling you to invest in Philippine pesos. And guys, guess what? Its year-to-date performance is at 20.98%. And of course, last but not the least, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. This gives you the best of both worlds in a single fund. Access to a variety of global assets in a single fund using Philippine pesos and potential monthly cash outs. Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund's year-to-date performance is at 7.41%, with an average of 4 to 5% in annual dividends that are being released monthly. And of course, much like our webinars, there will be a special Q&A session to follow immediately after our speaker's presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, mga ka-RFF, please, don't be shy. Malapit ng Pasko. Please feel free to drop in your questions in the Q&A box found below your screens, and we will try to answer them live later on. But before we introduce our first speaker, may we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube and TikTok channels where you could find valuable content that will surely help you in your financial journey. Again, maraming salamat sa inyong suporta, and we do hope to see you join us in our growing RFF community. So, moving on, for today's webinar, allow me to quickly run through a few house rules. Firstly, recording of this webinar is strictly prohibited. And of course, maximize the Zoom group chat and the Q&A button if you have any comments or questions. And so now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy as we will now formally start our program. To introduce our first speaker, he joined ATRAM in June of 2024 as the head of distribution under ATRAM Funds. Benjamin has 12 years of professional experience in wealth management and fixed income sales trading. He has previously worked in the following roles: the head of investments at Maybank Philippines, senior fixed income sales trader at Citicorp Financial Services, which is now Union Bank Financial Services, and fixed income sales trader at the Bank of the Philippine Islands. Prior to these roles, he was a management associate at Standard Chartered Bank Philippines. He is also a fixed income salesman, license holder from the Securities and Exchange Commission, and a UITF salesman license holder from the Trust Officers Association of the Philippines. Friends, without further ado, let's give a warm round of applause to Mr. Benjamin Bitong.
Okay, maraming salamat, Juan. And sa mga ka-RFF, good afternoon po. It's a rainy afternoon, as you can see outside, but I hope you all are staying safe and dry. And we thank you for being here in today's webinar. You could be anywhere else, but we thank you that you are currently here right now. And I want to thank as well Ramper Financials and Boss Rex for having us here. And as the topic of the webinar is Countdown to Christmas, as we get closer to the holidays, we hope that what we will share with you today can help you on your financial journey. So let me talk about ATRAM and about our funds. Let me just share my screen. One moment, please. Okay, I hope everyone can see the slides, and hopefully you can see me clearly as well. So once again, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you Ramper family for having me here as well. Okay, so we will talk about the countdown to Christmas, how the markets are doing. It's currently October 15, so we're just into the fourth quarter of the year. We have about 2.5 months to go. Let's see how things are doing in the markets. But first of all, let me talk a bit more about ATRAM. So ATRAM is a digitally powered asset and wealth management firm. Ano ibig sabihin po nun? It means that even though we are distributed through traditional channels like banks or insurances, our focus is really on doing it through digital means. Of course, it's currently the the future, they say, 'di ba? Sabi nila ngayon everything is done digitally, whether nasa phone ninyo or sa, sa computer. We really try to do the things digitally, and we are proud to partner with digital partners like Ramper. And you can buy our funds through Ramper online as well. So of course, given all that, that doesn't change our mission, which is to help everyone in their financial journey as well. So what our vision is, we see all Filipinos of all income levels, of all investing backgrounds. We see all of them investing towards their dreams and aspirations. And through it all, ATRAM hopes to be there for the journey. A bit more about us. You will see here lang po na kami yung fourth largest independent player among the trust business here in the Philippines. So to give you some more numbers behind that, we currently have, as of the end of last month, 388 billion in AUM, and this is from around 1.5 million retail investors in our client base through 24 business partners, of which one, we are proud to say, is C, Rapper Financials. And let me just move my slide. Ayun, na-stuck for a moment po. And then as of the end of last month, as mentioned, kami po ay nasa 388 billion. We have come a long way since we began 15 years ago. We began with just 1 billion. We've grown steadily throughout the years. We've even grown during the pandemic, as you can see there. Most of our growth, though, has been in the past couple of years. Just last year, we crossed the 300 billion mark, and we currently are approaching the 400 billion mark. All told, in our 15 years, that's around a 50% growth rate every year. And we thank you as well for helping us, build towards this, because kung wala po kayo, wala po mag-invest sa aming mga funds and products. So thank you rin sa inyo. And then proud to say as well, we are currently, we are, not currently, we are a multi-awarded fund house. What we are most proud of is that in the last 11 years, we have been awarded 5 times the best local fund house by Asian Investor. And you can see that along with our other awards there. Thank you po for your support in helping make ATRAM the award-winning fund house that it is. So yun, hopefully I was able to give you more about ATRAM. Now let's go to the market update. All right. So as mentioned earlier, we'll be talking po about equities. Ang focus po ni ATRAM ngayon is Philippine equities. Okay, so itong first slide po just tells us kung ano po yung performance ng dalawang funds namin. That was mentioned earlier. So yung ATRAM Equity Opportunity, ito po yung nasa blue line. Well, pareho silang blue, di ba? Pero yung darker blue line. Yung Alpha Opportunity Fund po, ito po yung parang lighter blue or parang aqua na line sa itaas. And then yung red na line po is yung PSEI. So what we can see po is that both funds have either tracked closely or beat the index. So basically po, if kayo po yung type of investor who wants funds that will closely match the index or even beat it, then these two funds are very good options for you. It should be noted that while the first fund, si Equity Opportunity, yung dark blue line, has as its benchmark the PSEI, yung benchmark po ng Alpha Op, yung lighter blue line, is yung PSE mid-cap. So, very briefly lang po, yung mid-cap, these are smaller but have higher growth potential na companies than those in the PSEI. So basically po, kung nag-invest ka in an index fund where naka-track po siya sa PSEI or naka-benchmark against the PSEI, you'll be getting a lot of companies na well-established, have very good credit, and are very mature already. Pero po yung mga mid-cap, which are which makes up a lot of the stocks in the Alpha Opportunity Fund, yung lighter blue line po, these are the funds where they're not as big but are on the road to growth. Therefore, while not as established as the large caps, they also, especially in the current economy, diba, they also are the type of stocks that will deliver growth as well. Just because there's a lot more room for them to grow versus the large caps. So anyway po, key takeaway here is that yung dalawang funds po namin have either matched or beat the PSEI. Okay, so next slide po. And then not to get too technical po, pero let's begin with the Equity Opportunity Fund. You will see on the left-hand side po, ang title is Average Sector Exposure. Yung tanong is, which sectors naka-invest yung Equity Opportunity Fund namin? You'll see on the left table po, yung mga higher bars there. These are conglos, banking, and property and REITs. So it just says po na if you're wondering ano po yung majority ng stocks sa loob ng fund, it's those three sectors, followed by a bit more in other sectors as well. Yun po yung ibig sabihin ng mga blue bars dun sa left-hand side. Pero you will also see may mga dots po dyan. What do those mean? Basically po, yun yung quote-unquote tilt. Pag sinabing tilt, it means where the fund is in terms of sector compared to the benchmark, namely the PSEI. So, the higher the dot po, the higher the tilt. The lower the dot, the lower the tilt. So, ang ibig sabihin lang po nito, let's take the very first bar on the left side po. Yung largest exposure ng fund is to conglos. Pero you will see na mababa yung kanyang tilt. What does that mean? Kahit na on its own, mataas yung exposure niya to conglos, compared to where the index is, it's still made up of less amount of conglos than you would find in the index. So sa madaling salita po, kung mataas yung bar, mataas yung kanyang exposure sa sector na yun. Kung mababa or mataas yung dot na yun, yun yung kanyang positioning compared to the PSEI. So sa madaling salita po, hindi naman siya completely aligned dun sa PSEI. It's weighted differently, but you will see that even though that's the case, the performance of the fund still matches the PSEI. And then on the right-hand side po, you will see kung ano po yung mga sectors that help return value for the fund. So over the past year to date, yung talagang nag-contribute sa return ng fund are infra and logistics and banking. So anyway po, just to recap everything for this slide, what we're trying to say po is that we are currently in a market situation where things are improving. As the market improves, we need to be in sectors that will also grow with the markets as well. This fund is nakaposition po doon such that if you go into these funds, then at least you can feel confident na we are in sectors that will also go with where the market is going. So yun po. And now for the other fund po, Alpha Opportunity. So we said earlier po na yung Alpha Opportunity refers to companies that have a bit more room to grow. So as you will see po, sa left-hand side na naman, yung kanyang sectors are not exactly the same as yung Alpha Opportunity namin po. Some of these are sectors that can, grow a bit more, di ba? Of course, yung earlier slide po, there is room for growth there. But because of the size of the companies in this fund naman, yung current slide natin, si Alpha Op, naka-weight siya differently. So, where is it most weighted to? You'll see here po, it's in properties and REITs and power and utilities, followed by banking and gaming. So, while there is some overlap between the two funds, yung sectors po nitong Alpha Op are a bit different because naka-weight siya more towards um, those companies that have room for growth and maybe not as I would say mature pa as the other fund. Long story short po, ito po yung type of fund that will grow with the market as well. But hindi lang po grow, even the companies inside the fund also have room to grow as well. And then we'll see on the right table po, ano po yung nag-help sa return ng fund year to date. Surprisingly po, it's gaming, di ba? So I'll show you one last thing po. In the last slide, sabi natin infra and logistics. But gaming is a very, I would say, well, it's a newer sector compared to, say, infra and logistics. So pag sinabi natin gaming, it's the type of industry where syempre po, if you have money, you will tend to spend more on the essentials, di ba? You'll start with buying things like property or maybe if you need infra, di ba? Kunyari, the nation needs infra more than anything else. So those are the essentials. But you will see here, dahil po mga mid-cap po sila, some of these sectors na nag-help towards the return of the fund are those that maybe you might not think of as essentials, like gaming, di ba? So what this is saying po is that if you want to go for a fund that will give you sectors and stocks that will grow as the economy improves, and as the economy improves, there is more money to spend, di ba po? Um, it is positioned in that type of scenario po. Okay. So yun po ang what I'm trying to say. Just to recap for the two slides. Ito po, equity opportunity, more established companies. Ito po, a bit less established but have more room to grow. Okay, thank you po. So now I will move on from the funds and talk about where the market is going from now until around the end of next year to maybe around 2 years from now. So as you know po, in the past, maybe around 2.5 years, um, rates have been very high. Going back even before that, nung pandemic po, sobrang baba ng rates because talagang walang business going on in the country, di ba? And in the world as a matter of fact. Over the next year and a half or so after the start of lockdowns, the market kept rising steadily as we began to reopen and recover. And when there was finally a vaccine, suddenly things were kind of back to normal. That all ended po nung the start of 22, nung nagkaroon ng gera sa Ukraine. Yun po yung catalyst for all the things that happened after that happened, di ba? So dahil may gera sa Ukraine at hindi pa naka-recover totally yung mundo sa COVID, there was high inflation, which led banks to raise rates, di ba? So yun po yung nangyari the past 2.5 years. Mataas ang rates, therefore, kung average investor ka, you would rather go for a bond that pays a higher rate than you would compared to say an equity or an equity fund where there's a lot more risk compared to bonds and the return may not compensate you as much as it would kung nasa bond po kayo. But that being the case po, if you look at the left-hand table po, you will see that this just shows po from now until the next 2 years, yung expectations sa rate cuts and how they will be priced in. So the longer the yellow bar is po, that means that the more rate cuts will be priced in. So mag-hit yung peak ng rate cuts maybe around 2 years from now. But the majority will happen from now until the end of next year. Yung US Fed po, they're looking to cut around 3 to 4 times. The BSP around 4 to 5 times. And in fact, tomorrow, there is another BSP meeting where they might cut rates again. Yung Fed naman po sa first week ng November, November 6 and 7, they'll have the next FOMC meeting where they might cut rates again. So long story short po, talagang nasa time na tayo where markets are improving and inflation is not so much a big problem anymore compared to where they were the past couple of years. Therefore, it's time to cut rates. If you cut rates, then bonds become less attractive compared to equities, which is good for equity funds. And then if you see the right-hand table po, just to show you how much rates have lowered in the past couple of months, yung green line or brown po, kind of hard to see here sa webinar type screen. Pero you'll see that yun yung rates 1 and 2 months ago sa Philippines. They are now on the bottom line as well. So you can see po, for example lang, if you go for a very short bond, maybe 1 year and less, had you bought it maybe around 1 or 2 months ago, nasa 6% pa siya. Now it's below 5.5. So ang bilis ng pagbaba in a couple of months. And that will continue as rates keep going down. Okay? So yun lang po, as rates keep going down, we also see that equities will improve as well. And this just shows po what we mean from the previous slide. Yung blue line po, it shows yung return you get sa equities. While the gray line shows the return you get on the average from bonds. Yung difference ng dalawa is that green space that you see in the table. So basically po, the larger the green space is here, the higher the return for equities is compared to bonds. What this tells us po is that as we move towards the end of the year, with rates being cut as well, it is you are compensated much more for going into equities versus bonds. That in effect makes equities cheaper as well. So essentially, if you were to go into a bond now or an equity right now, we can see as the months go on this year and even into next year, that you would see more value going into equities. So yun po yung what we're trying to say. And then very quickly lang po, this is just more of the same in the previous slide. So this just says po, ito po yung earnings estimates for stocks from the start of the year until around the halfway point of the year. What we're saying here po is that nung start of the year, the estimates for earnings were around 6%. Nag-end siya halfway to the year at around 5%. So estimate 6%, actual 5%. So what it says po is that if you're invested in equities or equity funds to start of the year, and you're looking at earnings reports to sort of help you decide on where to go, what we see here is that because malapit po yung actual earnings versus what was projected at the start of the year, then it would have been a good gauge to have nung start of the year, di ba? Hindi po lumayo yung actual earnings from where they were expected to go nung start of the year. Okay? And then this table lang po, medyo marami nakalagay dito, pero the main point here is if you look at the right-hand side po, yung pinaka-right na column, meron dyan mga naka-green na stocks. And some of them are in our funds. What this means po is that pag naka-green yung number dyan at mataas yung number, it means na revise upward yung earnings estimates from the beginning of the year to now, which means that nung start of the year, maybe they were expected not to do so well in terms of earnings, but since after everything that happened from now until now, basically, nag-improve po yung earnings estimates. Therefore, if you happen to have the stocks that have the green cell and the larger number in the fund, the better it is for you. Okay, so yung tanong po natin ng iba, ano po yung mga projection natin sa economy in the next couple of years? Well, let's see what will happen between now and next year. Yung pinaka key takeaway dito po is that if you look on the right side, Yung dollar peso, expected po siya to strengthen. Yung peso rather is expected to strengthen. Um, we anticipate end of the year nasa 57.50 siya. But by the end of next year po, it's at 54.75. At the same time, we all know that the peso strengthens during the time of the holidays because of dollar remittances coming in. Yung mga nagpapa remit ng pera galing sa kanilang mga OFW relatives, that will help strengthen the peso, not just in the immediate term, but because of other factors as well. Besides that, mag-improve talaga yung peso against the dollar even next year. And at the same time po, we mentioned earlier that may rate cuts, yung policy rate ng BSP should fall from 6% at this year end to around 5% next year. So that's around 4 rate cuts times 25 bips. While yung Fed naman po should move around 5.5 to 4, which might be around 6 cuts of 25 bips as well. So bottom line po, stronger peso, lowering rates, that's good for equities. And then ito po, just to move and touch on it quickly, if you look at the green box po, ito po yung apat na sectors which the funds focus on. Yung what we really want to see lang po is yung column of 25, yung sa the third from the left, 'di ba? We will see that there are still room for the sectors to grow in the following year. Of course, some may not grow as much as it did this year because compared naman to last year, sobrang baba ng earnings. Bottom line is, we still see earnings growth next year, and that is good for the funds as well. Okay? And this is my last slide for the market update po. So baka po you're wondering na saan po yung market by end of next year. Well, by the end of this year, we think po nasa 7,350 siya. Next year and the year after, it might seem a bit high to you. Ang base case po namin for the PSEI is at 9,272 end of next year. And the end of 2 years from now, 11,000. You might think that's really high. Pero why is ATRAM bullish on Philippine equities? It's because right now we see the PE ratios of companies, they are now close again to where they were pre-pandemic levels. And may caveat po kami, as long as nothing bad happens again, knock on wood, sana walang pandemic, sana walang gera, that should, the things happening in the market now should really help the growth of equities from now until the end of 2 years from now. So long story short po, we're very optimistic about the Philippine equity markets with the caveat that as long as nothing bad happens, and of course we don't want anything to bad happen, di ba? We really see the market by next year even reaching a new all-time high and then continuing its growth after that. Okay, so I have a couple more minutes na lang po. I'll go through this quickly. Sorry po kung medyo mahaba yung part ko na yun. But this is my last part. Okay, what are the two funds again? So kanina we talked about where they were performing. In brief, what are the two funds? Okay, so the first fund po, ATRAM Philippine Equity Opportunity Fund Inc., of course available through Ramper and Ramper Online. What's important here po is that it's available in peso. And even though it's for the aggressive investor po, if you want to go into equities or an equity fund po, because close ang correlation ng fund ito sa index, sa PSEI, and we think the stock market as a whole will do well, if you want to put your hard-earned money into this fund, then at least you have some comfort that if the PSEI does well, then so will the fund as well. Ano po yung top 10 holdings ng fund? These are all names that you may recognize because these are all large cap and developed companies. Number one here is SM Investments Corp, around 13.52%, followed by ICTSI, which we showed earlier in the slide, sobrang ang taas ng kanyang revision in earnings as well. It's at 10.67, followed by BP at 9.8, and then followed by other large companies as well. Yung performance po, as we can see, it just closely tracks the PSEI. And then, ayun, yun na pala yung last slide ko for that fund. And then just to end things on my part po, we'll talk lastly more about the Alpha Opportunity Fund. Ito rin po in peso, it's also aggressive. And at the same time, it has a lot more mid caps than large caps. But at the same time, even though mid cap siya, which might not be as established as the other companies that are large cap, there is room for growth. So what are these companies po? Well, first of all pala, it's an award-winning fund. We're happy to say, ito po yung kanyang mga awards in the past couple of years. Ito po, it's made up of large caps and mid caps. Ito po yung kanyang sector allocation. You can of course learn more about the fund through our website as well. Ano po yung kanyang top holdings? Well, it's mostly banks and properties. But there's also other names here that you might not know before or hearing just now, which are in gaming as well. Ito po yung kanyang top 10 holdings plus industry allocation as well. And ito po yung performance, which we can see outperforms the PSEI. Okay. So that ends my talk po. Thank you very much for your time today. I really enjoyed talking to all of you. If you'd like to learn more, please visit the ATRAM website. I will post or give the link in the chat room after my talk. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we also have ATRAM Studio plus various podcasts as well that we'd love to share to you. Kung may kailangan po kayo, just let us know anytime. And on behalf of ATRAM, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the very informative discussion, Sir Benj. It's really great to know your views on the recent events happening locally and how the ATRAM funds are positioned amid these developments. So that pretty much explains why local funds are performing very well. So now, to talk about SLAMC's global funds, we have here the alternative distribution channel manager of SLAMC, handling the distribution of Sun Life Prosperity funds through various broker partners, including Ramper Financials. Lurcy brings to us over 7 years of experience in the asset management industry. She is also a certified investment solicitor with the SEC. Friends, let's all welcome Ms. Lurcy Cuenca.
Hi, good afternoon, Juan. Thank you for that introduction. Magandang hapon po sa lahat ng ka-RFFs. It's always a pleasure for SLAMC to be in this webinar with you, a very engaging ka-RFF audience. So for my presentation this afternoon, of course, the title of our webinar is Countdown to Christmas. So I'm hoping that I can share some tips on how you can approach your investments towards the remaining months of 2024. So the title of my presentation is Staying Ahead of Global Opportunities. So I would like to start my presentation by sharing this pie chart. This is actually the AUM of Ramper clients with SLAMC. So meaning the assets under management, the total investments of our RFFs in SLAMC funds. And we're glad to share that more and more RFFs are going global. So I remember way back in 2017 when I joined SLAMC. Back then we were very active in advocating for a diversified portfolio which is exposed in global funds. And we're happy that these figures showing that 74% of our ka-RFFs investments with us are in global funds. We're happy that this shows na yung efforts natin, no, in advocating for global exposure, nagkakaroon na ng benefits, no, and more ka-RFFs are appreciating the wonders and the benefits of global funds in their portfolio. And no wonder ka-RFFs really enjoy the benefits of global funds because of the exemplary performance of the funds. So here are the top ka-RFF picks, no, among the SLAMC funds. It's the World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or WAIF, the World Voyager Fund, and the World Income Fund. So for our global equity funds like WAIF, World Equity Index Feeder Fund, and the World Voyager, no, these funds have returned double-digit figures, no, for just a 1 year and year to date or since January period. And that is why also this has become the best sellers among the SLAMC funds for our clients. So for those who are already investors of these funds, no, congratulations, because I know you are enjoying the fruits of your investments. So that is why also more clients and ka-RFFs are asking our RAMFVer business development officers, no, ganyan na yung return ng mga funds for this year. Too late na ba ako sa game, no? Hindi na ba ako advisable na mag-enter pa? Especially when this key event in the market happened. So si Benj was telling us about this event, no, in his presentation. So last September 18, no, the Fed finally started cutting the interest rates. And actually, yung pag-cut nila ng interest rates by 50 bips is a surprise to the market because the market was just expecting a 25 bips rate cut, no, to start the interest rate cut period. Now, this was positively, the market generally reacted positively to this development because sabi nga ni Bench kanina, for 2.5 years, the Fed has been cutting the interest, has been raising the interest rates. So the market has been long waiting for this to happen. And if you are an attendee of our past webinars since last year, di ba, we've been promoting that our clients enter the market, unahan na yung interest rate cuts for us to better maximize yung opportunities nito sa ating mga investments. So that is why people have been asking us, nag-cut na ang Fed ng interest rates, no? Naunahan ako ng Fed, hindi pa ako nakakapag-invest. So yun yung mga questions. They think that they are too late to the party, no? Because nag-cut na nga yung Fed. So anong next para sa akin? Anong kailangan kong bantayan? So from this event, the global markets experienced upward momentum, 'di ba? Na nakita natin in the past weeks since the first rate cut by the Fed took place. Many international indices rose, no? Because of course, this key event resulted into a more improved sentiment and expectations for the market, and this has helped investors, no, to increase their confidence towards the markets. So now, sabi ko nga, no, mas marami tayong natatanggap na tanong ngayon, no? Nangyari na ang first rate cut. Is it too late for me to enter the market? And if it's not too late, what can be the catalyst? What may be the key market drivers? So on my next slides, no, I will be showing you some factors and some catalysts which we think will propel the markets higher, no, in the following months. So these are some factors which we hope you will consider as opportunities for you to enter the global and even the local markets. So the first key market driver we're looking into is the improving corporate earnings. So earnings can potentially recover and improve with inflation easing and interest rates falling. So let us backtrack a bit, especially for those na first timers in attending a webinar like this. So ano po ba ang epekto ng rate cuts? So if the Fed has cut interest rates, that is part of their expansionary monetary policy. So meaning mas mapapababa po ang borrowing cost para sa companies, and para naman po sa mga consumers, mas mababa po ang interest rates para sa mga mortgages, car loans, and interest rates para sa ating mga credit cards. So that is why mas encourage po ang consumer spending, at para naman sa mga businesses, mas makakapag-expand sila ng operations, therefore increasing the earning potential. Aside from that, mas may encourage po ang mga business to hire more people, and all this expansions, hiring, consumer spending will of course result into increased earnings para sa mga businesses. That is why on the right portion of my slide, we can see that there is improved earnings growth forecast for 2024 and 2025. And of course, konektado po sa earnings ng mga businesses. Kapag maganda ang earnings, of course, this may increase stock prices. So that is the effect of rate cuts in global equities, in stock prices. So this positive outlook on earnings due to rate cuts should support upward trend of global equity. So that is one factor we should look at as key market drivers for global equities to still propel in the following months. Now on to the second key market drivers. So again, clients are asking, is it too late to buy? No. In Sun Life, we think that the market is just starting to feel the initial effects of the rate cuts, and that the market is still going to reap the benefits of the rate cut in the following months. As we see here, this is a historical data. Pinapakita po dito yung returns ng mga indices na ito 12 months post rate cut. So I highlighted here MSCI ACWI because this is the index that is being tracked by our global funds. It shows here that it has returned 13.17% on average, 12 months from 12 months from rate cut in the past years. So with this, we think that global equities may potentially benefit once rate cuts start, as investors look to riskier assets to increase yields. Now, on another market driver, of course, we cannot forget to talk about AI. So we've been talking about AI last year pa, but still, we believe that it's still on its early stages. So I am sharing here yun pong 5 stages na ni OpenAI para sa roadmap ng kanilang business. So anyone here familiar with OpenAI? So, para po sa mga hindi nakakaalam, si OpenAI ang creator ng ChatGPT. So, I'm sure familiar kayo sa ChatGPT. So, sabi po ni OpenAI, meron po silang 5 stages for their business, and currently nasa first stage pa lang sila, level 1, which is chatbots and AI with conversational language. And ito yung most popular product nila, which is ChatGPT. And they are working on the following levels. No, this is that is why they shared this. They want the public to know and have an idea of their roadmap and what they are trying to achieve in the future. So we can see that if AI companies like OpenAI will be able to achieve yung ganitong roadmaps nila, that AI can do the work of an organization, it will definitely transform sectors, no? And right now, we're seeing that AI has been creating opportunities across sectors, no? Even non-tech, no? It has transformed the education, health, and banking sector. Now, we see this AI names, no, always trending because of their robust returns, no, and we see investment flows into this AI stocks. Now, probably you are aware that about Nvidia, no, it's a chip maker, and it has already reached $3.4 trillion in its market cap. So si Nvidia, the surge, this surge actually was contributed by the investments of other tech companies like Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. No, they are purchasing Nvidia's products and services to build stronger AI capabilities. And here I am showing a chart. No, pinapakita po nito gaano kabilis lumaki yung market capitalization ng mga AI stocks na to from 10 billion into their current market capitalization. So I just want to show here how much investment flows these stocks are receiving because of the expectations from the rise of AI. So in fact, yung market cap ng ibang kumpanya dito like Microsoft and Apple, mas malaki na po in value, no, kesa sa benchmark indices ng mga bansa katulad ng UK and Germany. Ganun na po siya kalaki. So that is why also I want you to, for those who are not yet exposed in funds na nagbibigay ng access sa AI, I would like you to check, no, how you can inject AI exposure in your portfolios. And this last market driver I will be discussing is about investor optimism. So I would like to share this survey, which is relatable, no, to our RFFs, because this is a survey with respondents who are individual investors. So this was conducted by Investopedia just last month, no, with more than 1,000 individual investors who have current holdings, no, in the markets. So they were asked, no, how do they feel about the markets and for the following 6 months. So 71% of them said that they are optimistic and or cautiously optimistic. No, they expect that the current market landscape will be able to generate positive returns in their portfolio, while 19% of them expect a correction in the next 3 months, and they see this correction as normal, no, part of market volatility. And they're saying that if they enter in the market correction periods, the general response is that they will be able to generate positive returns for the next 6 months. And also, the survey showed that more and more investors are gravitating towards investing in riskier assets, such as the stock market. So this is also in support to what Benj, no, was telling a while ago that we can consider now shifting to riskier assets, no, with this new market landscape. Actually, aside from this survey, there is also another survey conducted by BOFA. It's also, well, the respondents from that survey are global fund managers. And the results of the survey showed that fund managers are now deploying more of their cash positions into equities already. So they are now ready to take on more risk now for more returns in their portfolio. And also, this survey showed that investors approve of how the Fed has handled the monetary policy. And this is among the highest levels of Fed approval in the past 12 months. So fund managers are optimistic, even individual investors are optimistic of the following months in the market. I guess optimism is the is the word that I will often use in my throughout my presentation. So given that positive outlook in the global markets, how can you ride on the opportunities? Okay, so of course, in SLAMC, our main line of products are mutual funds. And for our RFFs, of course, if you want to expose your portfolio into the global markets, we would want you to check out the RFF top picks, which are World Voyager Fund, the World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or WAIF, and the World Income Fund. So a while ago, I saw from the chat box, no, greetings from our RFFs who are based abroad. So merong Singapore, Canada, Saudi Arabia. So hello po sa inyo, no? And given that there are a lot of RFFs who are dollar earners, I hope that you would check on mutual funds that are dollar denominated and can give stable returns to your dollars, no, like the World Voyager Fund. So this is an actively managed dollar-denominated global equity fund of funds. So fund of funds meaning, no, here in my illustration on the left, it is a fund which is composed of different funds. And then those funds are invested in different securities. So if you are curious about which funds the Voyager is invested in, so I'm also showing the list ng top offshore mutual fund holdings. So these are just the top 5, and World Voyager can actually invest even in more than 10 mutual funds. So the beauty of this type of fund structure is that it's flexible and it is not confined in one geographic region or sector. So dito po pumapasok yung professional management of the fund. For example, if the fund manager would like to have more exposure to US because of the AI theme, no, the fund manager can choose funds which are skewed towards US. So ganun po ka-flexible ang isang fund of funds. And as you can see here in the geographical allocation of the World Voyager, it is diversified in different regions like US, Europe, Japan, China, etc. And the fund has not disappointed its clients with its performance, no, delivering double-digit returns for 1 year and since January. So I've shown a while ago the top 5 mutual fund holdings of the Voyager, and you might be wondering how we choose which funds to include in the investment universe of the Voyager. So our investments team in the Philippines, they are collaborating with our Canadian office, the IIC, and they conduct due diligence, no, with these funds. They interview the asset managers, the JP Morgan, the BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, in order for them to choose the best of the best funds to invest in, which is, of course, should be according to the fund's objective and strategy. So for you to better appreciate the World Voyager, mag-zoom in tayo no in one of the funds under its basket. So here I'm showing the BlackRock iShares Core MSCI World Fund. And as you can see, this fund will give you access to those famous names no na pinakita ko kanina, like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and others. And this fund has 19.75% of World Voyager Fund. So with BlackRock, with having funds like BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Franklin Templeton in its basket, the World Voyager is able to give us access to the best of the best funds based abroad, no? Which may be challenging for retail investors like us to access, because we might need an international broker or a huge capital, no? Now, again, World Voyager is for dollar investors. Now, let's go to the next fund, which is the favorite global fund of our RFFs since 2020, because this was launched in 2020 and has been the top one in terms of AUM with our RAMPver clients. So World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or we call it WAFE, is a ticket to global markets because it is peso denominated. So you can invest in this fund for as low as 10,000 pesos, and it can give you access to more than 2,000 securities from over 40 countries, no, half of which are developed and half are emerging markets. So in this pie chart, I'm showing here the sectors, no, where the global stocks and Philippine stocks fall. And as we can see here, there are sectors that the global stocks can give us access to, like information technology and healthcare. So here, this is part of the survey. No, this bar graph is part of the Investopedia survey. So the respondents were asked, if meron kayong bibilihin na stock today na i-hold nyo for the next 10 years, anong stock yon? So they were asked, and ito yung mga top stocks that they answered: Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, which is a conglomerate owned by Warren Buffett, no? Tesla, Alphabet, Costco. So majority are still AI names. So good news for those who are already investors of WAVE, of World Income Fund, and of World Voyager Fund. Good news because you already own these stocks, because these stocks, no, na lumabas sa survey ni Investopedia na gustong i-hold for the next 10 years ng mga investors, these are included in the portfolio of our global funds, no? You get indirect access to the stocks. And more and more clients are asking us, kasi merong mga stocks, di ba, na napuput into spotlight because of their robust returns, their strong performance, and promising future. Tinatanong kami, ano kaya ang next na FANG, Magnificent Seven, or Fantastic Four, no? Of course, it would be very hard to answer. In the entire market, in the entire MSCI ACWI, there is more than 2,400 securities, no? So people are asking who will be the next giant. But the only way for you to own the next big thing, no, in the market is for you to own the entire market. And that is through exposing your portfolio in a global index fund. So another advantage of investing or exposing your portfolios in global assets would be country and sector diversification. So again, we expose our investments to sectors that are unavailable in our local market, like IT and healthcare. And in terms of country diversification, having that global fund in our portfolio would reduce country concentration risk, because we get to be invested in other countries like US, Japan, UK, China, Canada, and the others. So we're done with World Voyager, which is an actively managed global equity fund. Next is the WAVE, which is a feeder fund, no, invested in MSCI ACWI, an index that represents the global equity performance. And for my last featured fund, this is our youngest fund, the World Income Fund. So this has turned a year old lang last August, but it is really getting the interest of our RFFs because it gives opportunities for global investing as well as regular payouts. So with World Income Fund, our investors are able to access the global markets using their Philippine pesos. That is just 10,000 pesos for initial investment. Aside from that, they get potential capital growth via the global markets, because this fund is also invested in a target fund, no, being managed by BlackRock, and it is invested in a wide range of assets such as bonds and equities. In fact, the World Income Fund has returned 7.40%, no, since January, and this return is aside from the monthly cash income that it gives out to its clients on directly credited to their bank account. So it targets to give an annual dividend yield of 4 to 5%. Okay, so I'm showing here the regular monthly payouts of World Income Fund. Again, it was able to consistently pay out on a monthly basis since December, and it targets to give out dividends within 4 to 5% gross annualized dividend yield. So what we like so far about this fund is, again, it is peso denominated and it is affordable. If an investor would opt to invest directly in a BlackRock fund, that would require a huge capital, around 50,000 US dollars. But feeder funds like World Income Fund makes it more affordable for us, no? Second is that it is the best of both worlds. So if World Voyager and World Equity Feeder Fund are both pure equity funds, World Income Fund is diversified in asset classes. So it gives another layer of diversification, of country diversification, sector, and asset classes, because it is invested in traditional and complementary equities and fixed income. And Sun Life remains positive on both fixed income and equities, no? That is why multi-asset funds like WIF presents diversification benefits, no, in the following months, no, in a lowering inflation and new market environment for interest rates. Now, it also gives access to AI stocks like our World Voyager and Wave. In fact, in its equity sleeves, no, it is invested in more than 1,000 securities, no, and some of those names also are from AI. And of course, what our clients enjoy would be the supplemental source of monthly income, because of course, an additional income would be very helpful for our clients for additional expenses, for your groceries, for the allowance of your kids. So we really enjoy the monthly income directly credited to our bank account. So in summary, these are the funds that I have featured for my presentation. I urge you to stay ahead, and it is still not too late for you to enter the global markets because of the key market drivers that I have mentioned a while ago, with improving corporate earnings, with the expected benefits of the rate cuts in global equities, and of course, the optimism of both institutional and retail investors in the market. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you later in the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Lucy. That's actually so exciting. And I am sure our attendees here are now interested in investing in these funds. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like what you saw from our guest speakers, click on the heart react button and show some love to our guest speakers. Now, let's move on and share with you some key takeaways from Benj and Lucy's presentation. For Benj, key takeaways are: with yields set to fall in the upcoming rate cutting cycle, this bodes well for the equity market. And the second one is, the funds that ATRAM carries are well positioned to capture the upcoming opportunity. And lastly, whether you're just beginning your financial journey or looking to refine your existing investment strategies, investing regularly is very essential so you will not miss market opportunities. And Lucy's key takeaways are: global funds like the World Voyager, the WEIF, and WIF has performed well in the past. However, there are key drivers we are seeing that may potentially drive growth in the market in the next months. And key market drivers would be improving corporate earnings, the positive effects of rate cuts in global equities, AI still being on its early stage, and the optimism of investors in the equities market. And lastly, to ride the global opportunities that these drivers present, investors are recommended to inject global exposure in their portfolios. This can be done by investing in global funds such as the World Voyager, the World Equity Index Feeder Fund, and the World Income Fund. Again, thank you so much, Benj and Lucy, for your time. So I would like to encourage everyone to please feel free to drop in your questions for Jake and Lucy at our Q&A box found below, and they will answer them live afterwards. So, to introduce our next speaker, this gets me exciting, because he is the chairman of Ramper Financials, one of the largest distributors of investment funds in the Philippines. He is an active entrepreneur with companies and endeavors in multiple industries. He is the lead independent director of Ayala Land Logistics Holdings Corporation, an independent director of Ayala Land and the National Reinsurance Corporation, which are, by the way, all listed companies in the Philippine Stock Exchange. He is the chairman of the Soldivo Funds and also a director of Esquire Financing, G Exchange Incorporated or GCash, Seedbox Technologies, Seven Tall Trees Events Management, otherwise known as the Blue Leaf, the Cullinan Group, Mobile Group Incorporated, and many other leading companies in different fields. He is recognized as one of the best business, leadership, finance, marketing, and sales speakers in the country today. He is also a bestseller author of 2 books, Trailblazing Success and Firing on All Cylinders. He's a great financial advisor and a business mentor. Friends, join me in welcoming the Mr. Rex Mendoza.
Hi, Juan. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you may be. Quite exciting one. Great hosting, huh? Again, first of all, while I'm setting this up, let me thank Benj and Lucy. These partners have been such great supporters of Rampver. We're not going to be where we are today if we're not also empowered by great institutions that are supposed to be the wind beneath our wings. The best way to be able to service all of you is to introduce you to the products that they have and the services that they have. And that's the reason why let me thank both of them. Let me thank the organizations ATRAM and SLAMC for always being behind us in our efforts to push this advocacy of making Filipinos fulfill financial dreams. And again, of course, I thank all of you as well for being with us. I'm sure so many things to do this afternoon, but you elected to be part of this webinar, and we'd like to make this so, worthy of your time. We'd like this to be a worthwhile exercise for most of you. So let me start. If I'm going to be asked to choose topics, I think you all know I'm going to be going into the behavioral side. Yes, investments is made up of a lot of technical stuff, a lot of jargons, a lot of developments, fundamentals, economics, and stuff like that. These are very relevant. But I guess for Ramper, our key focus is behavior. Siyempre po, talagang yun naman talaga yung aming ginagawang concentration, so to speak. Yung attitude at pag-iisip natin about money, about our track towards our financial wealth, and about our wellness and prosperity. So if you're going to be looking at my topic, medyo may konting pihit, no? It's the outlook for the holidays, investments in general, not exactly just the stock market, but investments in general. And I'd like to talk about trends to watch before Christmas, the New Year, and beyond. Alam nyo, natural, apektado tayo ng holidays. Kaya si Ramper, if you notice, medyo napaaga kami. Oktubre pa lang, we want to be right in front of you. We'd like to be in your faces. Kasi baka maunahan na naman kami ng SM. Baka maunahan na naman kami ng Ayala Malls. Okay lang sana kung mag-i-invest tayo sa Ayala Land at SM eh. Pero actually, karamihan ng Pilipino, namimili tayo, pinapayaman natin sila. Now, I'm not gonna say there's anything wrong with that. It's the festive season. We'd like to give great gifts to our friends, to our families and loved ones. Pero sana, makibahagi din tayo ng konti doon sa medyo magiging benefit ng mga kumpanyang yan, including, Robinson's Retail, Pure Gold, lahat yan magsisitaasan ng benta. Jollibee, McDonald's eh. Now, instead of just enjoying the products and maybe offering this and giving this to our family and loved ones, medyo kailangan yata bumakas din tayo dun sa mga kumpanyang yon para naman kasali din tayo sa benepisyo sa kanila. The holidays actually bring forth a lot of energy, optimism, positivity. If we can switch that, not simply on the festive nature of the holidays, but to two major things, and I'm going to be remiss if I don't do this. Siyempre po, unahin natin yung spirituality. The reason for the season. And I guess you will all agree with me, it is our Savior, our Messiah, our Lord, siyang dahilan. Bigyan natin siya ng panahon in the upcoming holidays. Planuhin natin yan. The other is to make sure we also take part in getting ourselves into that pathway to wellness. Hindi naman po dapat happy-happy lang tayo at kakalimutan natin ang hinaharap. And that's the reason why I said, medyo napaaga po kami kasi gusto namin maging parte na agad ng holiday season ninyo. Again, napakaganda po nito. Happy days are here again. Just today, alam nyo ba, 130 points na naman up ang ating local market. Medyo in the last week, bumaba. Akala na naman na marami. Ayan na naman, natakot na naman sila. Last week lang, sobrang solid, natakot bigla. Nagsiatrasan. O ngayon, umakyat na naman. And that's the reason why I like this chart. Ano ba itong itsura nito? Diba may akyat baba, akyat baba? Alam nyo kasi yung market, pag sobrang paakyat at tuloy-tuloy umakyat, delikado lalo yan, hindi yan maganda. Markets need pauses for new investors to come in. Markets need to give opportunities to some investors to also take profits. It's sometimes a rotation. Pero, para po sa atin, hindi naman tayo fund manager. Sila Lurcy at sila Bench po yan. Sila nang bahala sa mga ganyan. Tayo, magtabi tayo, mag-ipon at mag-invest tayo, at maging stress-free tayo para makapag-concentrate tayo sa saya ng holidays. Pero responsable pa rin tayo dahil nakataya tayo para alam natin na in the future, we're not thinking about just one Christmas. We're thinking about all the holidays in the future. Happy days are here again, and we are somehow affected by this. Bakit nga ba? Sobrang laging positive ang mga tao pag Christmas, even for investments and markets. And I'd like to be able to share this with you. May dahilan po ito, yung mga ganyan, yung mga palong ganyan, na sabi ng iba, naku, sayang, naiwan ako. Hihintayin ko na uling bumagsak. Yung iba naman, uy, umakyat na. Kailangan lumabas na ba ako? So, again, it's always behavior that gets us into trouble, so to speak. And that's the reason why we'd like you to get down into why do you do what you do. Diba? Kaya naman tayo nagtatabi, kaya naman tayo nag-i-invest, is to fulfill financial dreams. It's to achieve goals. Kaya sabi sa akin mga kaibigan ko, Rex, okay na ba? Ibebenta ko na, kumita na ako eh. Para saan mo ba tinabihan? Para sa pag-aaral ng anak mo? Para sa 10th honeymoon nyo ng misis mo? Or para ba yan sa down payment of a nice house that you consider to be a reward for the family? Yun ang tanong ko eh. At pagsagot, oo nga no, I'm setting this aside for the college education of my child. Oh, porque umakyat lang yung market, bakit mag-aaral na siya ngayon? Di ba? 4 years old pa lang siya. Oh, so, ang point ko lang, mga ka-RFF, nakakalimutan natin pag minsan yung dahilan kung bakit tayo nag-i-invest. Dahil lang umakyat or bumagsak ang markets eh. And let me remind you, as we always say, your economies is not going to be the driver. Kahit saan man lang economy ang inaaral mo, hindi yan. Ang driver is your personal view and perspective. Your emotions will be on the way. And that's the reason why gusto natin, teka lang, hindi lang sa nangyayari, hindi lang sa technical side, kailangan maintindihan natin to. Bakit ba tayo ganyan? Kasi alam nyo, may typical holiday trends talaga eh. May pinagmumulan yan. There is research that will prove there is really a Santa Claus rally. Ito po ay sinulat ng isang tao, the name is Yale Hirsch, in 1972 in his book, Investor's Almanac. Anong sinabi ni Yale Hirsch? There is always a 70% probability for the markets to go up in December. Santa Claus rally. At marami pong dahilan. Number 1, maraming bakasyon. So ang mga fund manager, hindi masyadong nakatingin sa market. Manipis ang volume, kaya pag may konting bumili, maakyat agad. Pangalawa, lahat po tayo medyo mas festive at mas energetic pag pag holidays. Itong increased consumer spending and confidence, ang sabi ni Bloomberg, 100% probability. Dahil holidays, ganado tayo. Ganado tayong gumasta, ganado tayong kumain sa labas, ganado tayo sa lahat ng bagay. So, pag yung holidays naramdaman nyo, parang nadadala nyo rin sa market, nadadala nyo rin sa investments. At dahil alam nyo na, punong-puno ang Shoemart, siguro kikita ang Shoemart. Punong-puno ang Ayala Land, siguro yung Ayala Malls kikita. So, sali na ako. Diba? Ganun eh. Kaya, natural, umaakyat ang merkado pag holidays. At hindi lang yan. Meron pa tayong tinatawag na January effect. Ano naman yung January effect? Alam nyo kasi, sa isang taon, people will always use a benchmark. It's called price-earnings ratio. Okay, price-earnings ratio. At ang driver niyan is earnings. Kaya nga price-earnings eh. Pag umaakyat ang kita ng isang kumpanya, syempre, kadalasan, because of a certain risk-return parameter, aakyat din ang presyo. Because we're buying a company to share in its propensity to earn. Diba? So, since malaki ang kita niya, itataas mo ang presyo, lumalaki ang kita. And why am I saying that this is relevant in January? Kasi, Sa ngayon, Oktubre pa lang, mula nung January hanggang ngayon, ang iniisip ng mga tao, 2024 earnings. And as Lercy and Bench would have mentioned, ang earnings ng mga kumpanya mas maganda this year than last year. So on the average, may growth na about 5 to 6%. And for some companies, maybe even 10%. Pero alam nyo, pag nag-turn yung leaf at naging January na, hindi na nila ginagamit yung 2024 earnings. Ano na ang ginagamit nila? Ang ginagamit nila 2025 earnings na. Pinoproject na nila yung end of the year next year. So when you project the earnings in 2025, they will be higher than 2024. Because bababa ang interest rate, maraming factors silang sinabi. Pero pagtataas ang earnings ng lahat ng kumpanya, by January, yan ang gagamitin ng mga fund manager na benchmark. So yung January effect, kailangan mag-adjust ang presyo. Kaya kadalasan po, very high probability, positive ang takbo ng market in January. Because from a past year earnings clip, people and fund managers will automatically shift to their views for the next or the following year, which for us is 2025. At sabayan nyo na yan ng tinatawag na year-end window dressing. Meron talagang ganyan. Walang masyado nakatingin, konting-konti ang nagte-trade. Abay, kung may gusto silang pakyating presyo, napakadali nilang pakyatin. So may konting window dressing. At after the window dressing, pangangatawan na nila in the first trading days of January. So, all of these things tell you, ang merkado po natin, dinidiskartehan yan. Big fund managers with big money, they will use their own direction in terms of their research to bring markets to where they believe it should go. Eh napakaliliit po natin. Ang pera natin, 50,000, 10,000, 100,000, yung iba sa atin, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. Eh ang pera po ng mga yan, billion-billion eh. Di ba? Si ATRAM, ilang daang milyon yan. Si Slamsi, ilang daang milyon yan. Kung kukontra tayo sa kanila, sasagasaan nila tayo. Kaya anong gustong gawin ni Rampver? Anong sinasabi ni Rampver? Bumakas na po tayo sa kanila. Total, tama naman sila eh. Ang galing naman ng kanilang mga research at investments. So, sabayan na natin, taya na natin sila. Ito mga holiday trends na to. Ilipas to pagdating ng Marso. Kalimutan na yan eh. Pero yung mga fund manager na yan, yan pa rin ang magpapatakbo ng karan ng investments. Not just in the Philippines, but globally. Globally. And that's the reason why I tell you, it's better to ride on with them. Imbis na tumaya ka against them or lumaban ka pa against them, nakita nyo naman yung rate of return na pinakita nila eh. Di ba? Yung ba kinaya mo? Kinaya ba ng powers ng portfolio mo yun? Ngayon, ang tanong ko sa marami, di ba dapat binigay mo na lang yung pera mo sa kanila tapos binigay nila sa iyo yung 20+% increase na yon. Hindi ka pa nakalbo kagaya ko. Di ba? Walang stress. Stress-free. Silang bahala. Maybe that's a lesson we'll have to learn today. That's a lesson we will have to bank on for our future. Again, we believe in fundamentals, not in predicting markets, but in understanding markets. Yes, money is behavioral, but at the very least, we can show an alignment of fundamentals and the attitude of optimism ngayon. Di ba? Papansin nyo, on the local side, ito po, feed ito ng ATRAM nung last Soldibo Funds board meeting. Ano sinasabi nila? Sa local front, ano ang mga development? Independent at pro-growth ang BSP. Mukhang hindi masyadong inaalalayan ang ating exchange rate. They want to lower interest rates faster than the Fed because they want to push growth in this country. Investment demand, naturally, will strengthen in 2025 earlier than it is originally assumed. Consumer spending, that will normalize now. Medyo yung revenge spending na sinasabi natin, pahupa na yon. So magiging supply-driven na. So kailangan magkaroon na ng activity sa manufacturing, kailangan magkaroon na ng mga activity sa ating warehouse and logistics and stuff like that. But government spending is going to remain high. From build to build more. Lahat po ng mga airports na gagawin, lahat ng mga highways and skyways, even long bridges, abangan natin yung mga yan. In Metro Manila alone, 9 bridges, over 9 linear kilometers. 9 linear kilometers are being done. Eh, saan pa ho patungo yan? Siyempre, hopefully, maibsan ng traffic, pero pangalawa, economic activity. Global, there would be an uncertainty from the dynamic game of growth and inflation. Ano lamang natin dyan? Eh, kitang-kita bumaba inflation natin eh. Yung kanila parang tumitibok pa eh. Pwede pang bumalik eh. Yung sa atin, alam natin bumaba na. Notwithstanding another war which will increase oil prices, okay na po tayo dyan. Fed will search for a neutral zone. Ayaw din nila ng hard landing. Ayaw din naman nila ng wayward na inflation. Okay? But in the region, syempre, issue po ang geopolitics. So yung West Philippine Sea, kailangan mag-estable yan. Sana naman po, cross fingers, yung La Nina na yan, hindi yan mangyari at kung mangyari man, hindi tumagal. And lastly, alam naman natin, problematic ang economy ng China at kailangan ma-recover sila. But recently, nakita natin ang balita, talagang ibang-iba rin kasi pag komunista eh. Di ba kayang-kaya nilang mag-inject ng mga tinatawag na stimulus packages to their economies. Why? Because they don't need to win the next elections. Sometimes, politicians have their way of balancing things. Pero pag hindi kayo kailangan ma-elect at wala kayo inaalaga ang popularity, you can actually do the right things or maybe even, sometimes the wrong things in the short term. But in the long term, it can pay off. So kailangan po yan makita natin na medyo positive ang ating developments economy-wise. Pero let's go back to a bit of history. Alam nyo, from tightening, we're now looking at rate cuts. Pero tingnan nyo, kailan huling nag-akyat ang Fed? In all of the years, from 94-95, 99-2000, 88-89, tuwing magkakaroon ng problema sa inflation, nagtataas sila ng rate. At once sila'y huminto, may nangyayari sa market. Anong sinasabi dito? Tuwing hihinto ang Fed, lilipad ang markets. There would be one exception in 1999 to year 2000. That was the dot-com bubble. But apart from that, anytime they did it, markets went up. So nakikita nyo, umaakit ang market sa Dow Jones ngayon, umaakit ang market sa US. S&P is up. Nasdaq is up. Why? Because the US has stopped increasing rates. Can you imagine what will happen when they start really decreasing? Eto, bumuga na ng 50, 50 bips. Medyo deep dive yun agad. Pero pag nagsabayan yan, and I think the BSP will also do its share, by end of the year next year, let's just say 100 to 150 bips ang ibababa. 100 to 150 bips. That's 1.5%. Where will mortgage rates go? Sinong magbebenepisyo sa mga developments na ganyan? And that's a reason why markets go up. Because obviously, that will be a cheap cost of capital for many companies. Ayan, nakikita nyo na. Ano ba itong PMI? This would be the Purchasing Managers Index. Pag ang mga purchasing manager bumibili na ng raw material, that means markets are going to be on the turnaround. I call this a heat map. Makikita nyo, di ba? Bumiberde na, dati pulang-pula eh. Germany, China, France, Italy, the Eurozone in general, berding-berde na. The Philippines actually had a turnaround in PMIs as early as 2022. Nauna na tayo dyan. Pero maganda rin that the whole world is following suit because it also fuels our growth. It becomes something that would be a tailwind for us in our economy. Because the truth is, the global economy is not slowing down anymore. This is according to the IMF. Last year, ang ating sinasabi, and even early this year, ang sinasabi ko, the global economy is slowing down. But, based on the latest projections of the IMF, the global economy will now be flat. And why is that? Because magre-recover na ang advanced economies at nag-i-stabilize naman ang emerging market and developing economies. But if we want to be granular about that, US at Euro naman talaga may problema, yung Eurozone eh. Asan ba ang Pilipinas? Emerging and developing Asia. It will be the fastest growing markets in the world. And that's where we are. Tayo ba'y bubuhatin? Or tayo ba'y bubuhat? Yung region natin bubuhat. Pero sino pa yung bubuhat sa region natin? The Philippines is going to be number 2 globally in terms of growth. And that, my friends, that mga ka-RFFs is great news for us. We are in a position to really say, itong optimism na to, may legs ito. May anchor ito. Pwede talaga itong tayaan. At pwede nating tapang-tapangan ng ating sarili. If we're going to be starting a portfolio, the time to start it is now. And if we have already started a portfolio, the time to increase our commitment is actually underway. The Philippines will be growing by 6% in 2024 and 6.2% in 2025. Some people have cut this to about 5.5, 5.8. Eh kahit ilagay nyo, nasa top 10 pa rin naman tayo. And let me tell you, this is backed up by an increase in our consumer spending in the second quarter of 2024. Ayan na, nag-curve na siyang pabalik. And when this really turns around, that will be meaningful because we're going to be having a bustling economy getting into 2025. You look at what the comparison is. Sinabi to kanina ni Bench, yung comparison of how the US will be cutting and how the Philippines will be cutting. I am very comfortable with it because I feel even with such, the Philippines will not have a wayward decline in the exchange rate. I feel it will not, and hopefully I'm right, but I don't think it will go over 60. Kasi nasa isa pa naman tayo sa strongest. In the last few weeks, we're the weakest actually. But that's okay. We're still what? Below 58? Eh yung mga ibang mga neighbors natin nag-all-time high na eh. So for me, for as long as we can churn the right fundamentals in our economy, that will be good. But ito yung tanong ko eh. Ayan, ang dami ko nang sinabi. Ang dami ko ng data na ibinagsak sa inyo. But mga ka-RFF, ano ba ang talagang iniisip natin? Ano ba talaga ang kinalalagyan natin? And let me drive home this very, very important question. Okay? Have you thought about what you will do with your Christmas bonus? O, di ba alam natin may padating na Christmas bonus eh. Bago nyo pa utangin yan at bago nyo pa gastusin yan sa walang mga kabagay-bagay na mga bilihin. Maybe we have to think about this. Maybe it's a way, an opportune time for your ka-RFF to tell you, pag-isipan naman natin ng konti ito. Kasi alam nyo, wealth is not what you earn. It is what you keep. Diba? Kaya nga tawag dyan bonus eh. Dapat hindi inaasahan. Pero inasahan mo na. In fact, pinlano mo na kung paano mo gagastusin. Are you concerned about how merry this Christmas will be? Or are you going to be also concerned about how merry you can make your future holidays to be? I think we're going to be harping so much on this basic concept again and again and again. The compounding power of money should work for you, not against you. Albert Einstein says in the world of finance, this is the strongest, most potent force in the universe. Pero karamihan po ng Pinoy, kalaban ang compounding power. Bakit? Kasi mas nangungutang tayo than nag-i-invest. If you're an investor, it works for you. If you're a borrower, it works against you. And just to drive home the point, paulit-ulit po ito, pinapamukha namin sa mga aming ka-RFFs na kagaya ninyo. 1 million today or 1 cent doubled a day for 30 days. Doubled every day for 30 days. Isang cent versus 1 million. Alam nyo ha? The power of compounding will show you that in 30 days, ang isang sentimo, $5.4 million. 1 cent becomes $5.4 million. That's how powerful compounding is. If we can make it work in our track, in our financial stability and prosperity track, malaking bagay po ang compounding. And why not think about starting that discipline come this? Or baka naman mas maganda nga, hindi pa tayo maghintay ng December. Pag tayo nakakuha ng advance na bonus, baka pwedeng pag-isip-isipan natin kung saan natin ilalagay yan. 99% of the wealth of Warren Buffett was made after he was 50 years old. Can you imagine that? One of the richest, most respected investors in the world. 99% ng yaman niya, na-accumulate niya beyond 50 years old siya. Hindi pa niya kinukonsider ang sarili niyang mayaman nung 50 years old siya. Saka pumalo yan. Is actually less than $1 billion when he was 50 years old. He was about 350 million when he was 50 years old. Ngayon, ano na? Ilang billion na ang kanyang wealth because of the power of compounding. Kinompound yung kanyang mga investments. And maybe it's high time we do something about that today. Value is at the core of every investment decision, but you will always find the greatest value when not many are looking. In fact, marami-rami na nga po ang tumitingin ngayon. Sasabihin nga nung iba, huli na ba, Boss Rex? Huli na? Never naman nagiging huli. Pinakita sa atin ni Benj at ni Lurcy how next year can be rosy and optimistic. Baka naman next year pa tayo uli mag-isip at manghinayang. At kagaya ng ibang mga kaibigan ko, anong sabi nila? Hihintayin ko nang bumagsak uli ang market. Naku, paano yan? You know, if you look at what happened in the last crisis period, which was 2008 and 2009, alam niyo yung rise from 2009 to 2010, kung ganong kalaki, from 2010 to 2011, all double digit, and that ran all the way up to 2019. Ang tagal niyan, 10 taon yan. Nandun pa lang tayo ngayon sa 2009-2010. Yun ang katumbas nito eh. Bumagsak yung market 2008, 2009, from 2010 to 2019, bumawi yan, lumipad yan. Tapos nandun pa lang tayo sa unang taon ng ating pagbawi, bibigay ka na agad. Maybe this is your chance to get into that curve and get into that maybe a lot early. It is time to seize opportunities. It is time to think, am I going to be stressed out in doing all of this stock selection and timing? Or will I just let the fund managers do it so that I can concentrate on what I have to do best? Ang trabaho dapat natin, asset allocation lang eh. Mga ka-RFF, asset allocation. Bibigay natin yung konting pera kay ATRAM for the local market. Total, sila yung pinakamagaling, Alpha Opportunity Fund, di ba? O bigay natin yan. Kung gusto nyo pang maglagay ng konti sa index, pwede din sa kanila. Maganda rin yung kanilang smart index. And SLAMC, maganda rin ang index fund ng SLAMC. Pero ako, and you notice, ang ating mga kliyente at mga ka-RFF, karamihan nasa global thematics ng SLAMC. WAVE at Voyager. Ako personally, I don't actually advise what I don't do. And I'm going to be very, very adamant about that. I will not be compelling to another person if I am not going to be practicing what I preach. So yan na yan po ang ginagawa ko on a personal basis. But risk management has to be calibrated. We don't want you to be wayward in the way you deal with your risks. And that's why we want you to listen to our advisors. We want you to listen to our business development officers. They are the ones who invited you today. Let them talk to you. Let them talk to your family. to your friends, to your other loved ones. In fact, we can even talk in your company. Invite us. We can talk to your company. We can bring people there to make sure that we share this word to everyone, because we are not going to be having a wealthy nation if we don't have wealthy individuals and families. Yan po ang baseline anchor ng Ramper. We want the Philippines to really be a prosperous nation. And to be able to do that, all of us, most of us, will have to be prosperous as well. We will have to, lastly, ito po yung huli dyan, cultivate a financial discipline for a secure tomorrow. Again, markets, acumen, pagbasa niyan, technical, let's leave that to the fund managers. Let us keep within our job, which is to instill discipline. Our job, which means to follow through. Learn, develop, and follow through, and stick to our strategies. That is what we need to do. Makikita nyo ito, last 3 years. Asa ng index? Ayun, yung gold na una. Tingnan nyo lahat ng iba. So bakit pa tayo magpapakahirap if all of these funds can do better than us? Look at the numbers that they have. Equity index funds. Index na po yan, ha? Nasa 16 to 17%. Equity funds, nasa 17 to 18%. Yung mga alpha at dividend equity funds, abay 23 to 27%. If you're not returning that on your portfolio, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your energy? Let the fund managers do that so we can do what we do best. We can earn from the stuff that we do best. Global funds, 15.5 to 19%. Ito nga, in-update pa ni Lercy, may 20% mahigit na pala ito. Baka naiwan pa itong aking numbers dito. Ito sa Ramper Online lang eh. Doon sa mga tinatamad dyan at gusto online pa. These are the top performing funds in Ramper Online from ATRAM and SLAPSI. And as I tell a lot of friends, if you cannot match up with that, maybe mag-practice muna tayo. Let the fund manager do it. Basahin na lang natin ang reports nila, ang fund fact sheets nila, para pag nag-direct investing tayo, mas may alam tayo later. Let us not do that now if we're not ready for it. In fact, there are 2 things I want you to check if you're now doing direct investing in stocks. 2 things. 1, malaki ba kapital mo? Kasi ang kalaban mo, lalaki ng kapital eh. Para kang sumubo sa isang bakbakan na ammunition mo kukonti. Yung ammunition ng kalaban mo, bilyon-bilyon. Mahirap silang labanan. Second, acumen at experience. Your acumen and your experience. You know, I will tell you, I am so experienced in markets. For me, sorry pero this kind of ages me. I have over 40 years of experience in this market. Pero alam nyo po, to be honest with you, lately, palaki ng palaki ang pera ko sa funds rather than in the money that I manage for myself. And why is that? Because there are other things I'd like to do. There are other things that I'm good at. So I'd rather bet on the people who are good at this and let them earn the money for me so that I can earn somewhere else, somewhere where I can be much better. You know, if you're just accumulating today, mas maganda nga na mababa pa eh. Yung sabi ng iba, Rex, 7.4 pa lang eh. 7.5 eh. Titingnan ko yan pag 8,000 na. Eh pag mataas na, mahirap na. Di ba nag-accumulate ka eh. Mas maganda yung hindi pa mataas. When you're building your portfolio, you'd rather build on the cheap. And the time to do that is now. When it becomes expensive, then your potential for earnings in the future will be much less. You don't complain about high prices or low prices. You're still within your journey of accumulation. And when you're doing that, you'd rather make it cheap. Aren't you supposed to be happy you can build it up using bargain prices? That's what you need to do. You never let a good crisis go to waste. We've seen a lot of crises happen. In my 40 years, every 10 years, there is one. And if I can only go back, 4 na dekada yan. 4 na crisis. Kung babalikan ko po yung mga 3 nakaraang crisis, todo ako talaga. Because those crises made me wealthy. Today, in this crisis, tumutodo ako because alam ko there will come a time we will get into an all-time high. And when we get to an all-time high, ang mga kababayan pa natin, dun lang nag-iisip, dun lang mag-uumpisa. Tayo po ay kumikita at recovered na by that time. So check out our mutual fund partners. We have all of them actually. We represent everyone, but we want you to focus on the best performing ones, ATRAM and SLAMC, Sun Life Asset Management, because they've really done very, very well in this market. For those of you who are interested in Ramper Online, check out our website. You can actually start an account from there. But if I may advise, yung nag-imbita po sa inyo na business development officer, yung po ang kausapin nyo. They will be in the best position to tell you what's going to be fit for you. And much like we call you RFFs, marami po kaming social media platforms, not just YouTube, not just TikTok. We have Facebook, we have Spotify. Please, this is a QR code. Pag in-scan nyo po yan, you can follow us on all our social media channels. And we can be part of your lives and we can guide you through this financial journey. You all know, I end with a slide that says this all the time. Papalit-palit lang po yung picture na yan. Ayan, medyo nadagdagan na siya ng isa dahil kinasal na po ang aking panganay. But I always tell people, you do what you do, not for yourself, but for people special to you. And because of that, sila dapat yung pinaghahanguan mo ng strength eh. Sila yung pinaghahanguan mo ng inspiration at motivation. Because if you're anchored correctly, you will do what you do with a lot more fervor and energy. You will do what you need to do with more compellingness and determination. Kami po sa Ramper Financials, kami pong inyong mga ka-RFF, we'd like to be part of your lives, and that's the reason why we do these things. We do these webinars, we do these face-to-face engagements. Please allow us into your lives and make us your partner in the achievement and fulfillment of your dreams. Again, ito po si Rex Mendoza. I hope you have learned a lot from this afternoon's exercise. I know we still have a question and answer portion, a Q&A, and I'll be more than happy to be part of it. Pero in the meantime po, maraming salamat sa inyo. You have been such a loyal and great audience, and you have been part of our journey. Thank you so much and God bless.
Oh, mga ka-RFF, nakakapit ba kayo sa mga upuan ninyo? Kanina pa natin naririnig optimism, bullish, palipad na ang market. Sabay-sabay na tayo. Naku, Boss Rex, maraming salamat for that very informative and encouraging talk. Oh, ayun, nakikita nyo na saan ko nakuha yung energy ko. Hindi sa boost ko. But again, boss, your presentation indeed gave us the information we needed to take advantage of market opportunities in times of local and international market volatility and uncertainty. To summarize some important highlights from Mr. Mendoza's presentation, here are our key takeaways. The holiday season is festive and positive, and this elicits confidence amongst investors. Aligned with great economic fundamentals, it will be a great opportunity to begin and commit to higher levels of involvement in investments. Wealth is what you keep, not what you earn. We have to take responsibility for our future wellness. The compounding power of money has to work for us, not against us. And of course, make your Christmas bonus count, mga RFF. Will you spend it in merrymaking this holiday season? Or will you invest it to enjoy many more holiday seasons ahead? Again, mga ka-RFF, we appreciate the time you have taken today and spent it with us. But now let's move on to another exciting part. May we now request our 3 guest speakers to please open your videos as we now move on to our question and answer portion. Again, as mentioned earlier, we have chosen the most interesting questions in our Q&A box, and these will all be answered live by our three speakers. Now, let's move on to the first question. As a matter of fact, medyo madaming anonymous questions ngayon. Mukhang madaming funds ang mga ka-RFF natin at nagtatago para magbigay ng gifts at i-invest na lang. But let's start off with the first one. I think this question is for all our speakers. So, ladies and gents, so here's the first question. Looking ahead to 2025, what are your expectations for global and local stock markets? Do you anticipate more volatility, or is there a likelihood of a more stable growth trajectory? Could we please begin with, of course, ladies first, Ms. Lurcy, followed by Sir Benj, and lastly, Boss Rex.
Thank you for that question, Juan. So for you're asking about expectations for local stock markets. Well, as presented by Benj a while ago, the backdrop for the local stock market has definitely improved. So looking into 2025, I believe that the Philippine market should definitely be on an investor's diversified portfolio. So we're looking at factors such as a more stable peso, also with Philippine market continuing to encourage foreign inflows, and also having a better inflation data. This will, of course, contribute to a more positive performance of the local stock market for next year. Now, going into global, from my presentation a while ago, we're seeing the global market to continue reaping the benefits of the rate cut and the upcoming rate cuts. In fact, for 2025, we're expecting 100 bips rate cut by the Fed. So we're seeing that for 2025, there's also there will also be a positive global equities performance from the benefits from the rate cuts. Now, Juan, you also asked about if we are anticipating more volatility or a more stable growth for 2025. It's very hard to forecast. Of course, volatility will still be there given uncertainties like, say, geopolitical tensions. But maybe what I would like to recommend our investors is to consider volatility as an opportunity for us to add exposure to our local and global markets at sale prices, because volatility will always be part of the market, and volatility can provide entry prices for investors who are looking to stay for the long term.
Thank you, Lurcy. May we now move on to Sir Benj? Thank you again, Lurcy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Juan, and well said, Lurcy. I think Lurcy said pretty much everything that needs to be said, but I will just add my own take on it. To answer it in simple terms, because we covered local equities a while ago, I think what we just want to focus on are two things. To repeat one of our slides earlier, stronger peso and falling rates next year. So those two things together will make for a very rosy path, as what Boss Rex said earlier, for next year. In fact, our projections are 7,350 by end of this year and 9,200 by end of next year, which means that next year, if that comes true, then we will have seen another all-time high again in the Philippine stock market. Now, that said, there's a one caveat as well. That's if nothing goes wrong. So, knock on wood, diba? Sana walang mangyari, pandemic or gera or things like that, diba? But all things considered, yun, once again, because of lowering rates and a stronger peso, it looks very promising for Philippine equities.
Thank you very much, Sir Bench. And of course, Boss Rex, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, as Bench mentioned, Lercy mentioned everything, said all the important factors. Tapos sinundan pa niya, dinagdagan niya, di halos wala na ako talagang masasabi. But let me tell you this, again, I come from like experience and probably heart. I really feel this is different. This is a different ball game altogether. I don't think this is basically a dead cat bounce or maybe just a technical move upwards. I really feel that this run has legs. You know, a lot of strong legs that are well supported by developments. You know, that's what has to happen. A very strong platform, maybe stronger after the pandemic, and then more good news coming in, you know, stimulus, rate cuts, all things like that. But at the end of the day, if you have a well-positioned portfolio, if you have local and international exposure, both dollar and peso, you will never go wrong. You will never go wrong with this market. And I feel that people are just going to somehow waste opportunities if they're not going to see this through. We will have to participate. And I always say the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, because the rich always know what to do. Maybe it's high time we begin doing what they do. So that's my point. I mean, let us just make sure that we have our investment commitment solid moving forward.
Thank you so much, our dear speakers, for those wonderful answers. But of course, most importantly, thank you to our RFFs who are engaging with us in the Q&A box. Well, again, as I've mentioned, we do appreciate all the questions, but we have to just select a few considering the time constraints. Let's move on to the next question. It's an anonymous question for Sir Bench. Sir Bench, this person asks, could you elaborate on ATRAM's strategic outlook for the next year and how your mutual fund offerings align with the current market trends?
Okay, thank you so much, Juan, and thank you so much to our RFF for that question as well. So we have covered many things in the presentation earlier, but I guess I'll just repeat the key things that are, for that person's question. So once again, because there will be lower rates in the next couple of years, with most cuts happening next year, this will drive investors towards equities, away from bonds and into equities. So if you think of the funds we discussed earlier, we are well positioned because should you come in to these funds now, and as Boss Rex said, don't come in too late, diba? Have the discipline to come in before talagang sumipa yung market, diba? So, para lang masama yung sagot ko, we're currently underway in a rate cut cycle because next year the Fed will cut around maybe 3 to 4 times, the BSP around the same. So one thing we can point out is that this favors cyclical sectors like property, consumer, and banks, which our funds have. And this means that because we are in these sectors, when markets go well, these companies will tend to perform well as well. So para lang matayin lahat nun, the earlier you come into these funds, the better. And the better you'll be positioned when they eventually lower rates and talagang sisipa na yung equities market.
Thank you very much for that informative discussion, Sir Bench. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are down. Unfortunately, we are down to our last 2 questions. Medyo overtime na tayo, but we'll still try to cover all speakers. We still have Miss Lercy on the line. Since this is quite a big thing right now in the industry, this anonymous person again asked, I have REITs already, and I get regular income from my investment in REITs. Should I still invest in the World Income Fund?
Okay, thank you for the interest in our World Income Fund, no, to that RFF who asked that question. So I also have REITs in my portfolio, and it's a good source of income too. One, kasi yung income from REITs are from income producing real estate properties, no? But I am also invested in World Income Fund, and I hope our RFFs will also consider to diversify in income-paying mutual funds, because REITs are focused on one sector, which is the real estate. And of course, it is recommended that you also diversify your sources of income, diba? And for World Income Fund, you get to be diversified in different asset classes, no, both traditional and complementary equities and fixed income. And you also get to be diversified in different sectors like IT, healthcare, and financials. So still, my recommendation is for you to diversify, no, retain the REITs in your portfolio, but consider also other sources of income like World Income Fund.
Thank you. Thank you for informing us again, Miss Lursy. Looks like it's a very good time to diversify again. But on to our last question. And of course, our our chairman at Ramper Financials. So, boss, the last question is, how do you recommend investors balance their portfolios between local and global mutual funds amid current market conditions?
Well, to be frank about it, easily it's personal prerogative, no, what you're comfortable with. But the important thing to think about is this, that the Philippine economy would probably be strong in the next 3 to 4 years, but it's still the Philippine economy, right? So you still have to, put that under the backdrop of stronger economies, stronger currencies. Just to follow through with what Lursy mentioned, syempre kailangan world income fund ka pa din eh. Kasi in essence, yung rate mo, maganda yung kita niyan. But when the peso becomes weaker, parang yung capital appreciation mo nabubura. Dahil di ba in dollar terms, nagsishrink yung peso mo. Di ba? So, it's very important that we consider that. Now, I say this not just for mutual funds, not just for the investments, even for the insurance. I've seen this happen. In in the 90s, may mga kaibigan tayo bumili ng insurance. Like let's say 20 million pesos. At that time, 20:1 or 21:1 yung dollar. So that's $1 million ang coverage, 'di ba? Pagbagsak ng peso to 50:1, 'di ba yung 20 million mo, wala na ngayong $500,000. So in dollar terms, you've actually shrunk your coverage. Whereas if you got dollar coverage from 20 million, your coverage would have been 50 million pesos. Diba? So, kailangan ganyan. Kailangan laging meron kang taya sa iba't ibang currency, taya sa iba't ibang markets. Para talagang, So, sabi ko prerogative. Kasi, personally, it can be 50-50. Ako, on my end, minimum yan, 60-40. Diba? 60-40, 40 international, 60 local. And why do I do that? Kasi yung 60 ko may real estate pa yun, yung actual real estate portfolio. Hindi lang marketable securities. So hindi lang, hindi lang stocks or mutual funds. May real estate ka, yung bahay mo nandito eh. Di ba? So yung mga pinaupahan mo, yung mga rental portfolio mo, all of that is in peso, all of that is in the Philippines. So think about how to be able to make bets abroad to make sure that you have a real allocated and diversified portfolio. But as I say that, it is a year or a set of 3 years to 5 years, which I said, I'm very bullish about the Philippine market. Kasi I've made my run eh. Alam mo yan, yung mga sinasabi nila Lursy na Nvidia, even Amazon. You can just imagine, I was getting into Amazon at what, $80, $85, o ngayon 180 na siya, 170 na siya. Nagkaroon na rin kahit papaano So, kailangan isipin ko, teka lang, mangyayari sa Pilipinas yan. So, magka-calibrate ako ng konti, pero hindi over-over. Ako naman, nagbabalancing act lang Pero, syempre, kahit papaano, may tilt ka rin na tinatawag As a fund manager, you actually tilt a bit. So, I'm tilting a little bit to the local market, but that doesn't mean my international market is small. And I think you know naman Juan, I say this a lot in Rampver. Up till today, I'm a net earner. So, I'm not saying I'm going to be moving my international to local. No. I'm just saying yung buwan-buwan ko na ipinapasok because I'm a net earner, I'm not yet a net spender. Mas malaki ilalagay ko local, pero that doesn't mean my international is lower. I'm allocating new funds to the market. Hanggang ngayon, ang problema ko pa rin is deployment, not consumption. Diba? So I think that's what we have to learn about that. It's still an accumulation period for many of us.
Thank you again for that insightful answer, Boss Rex. But with that, mga ka-RFF, we would like to conclude our Q&A session. As I've mentioned, medyo overtime na tayo. But maybe a question to our ka-RFFs. Saan nyo dadalin ang Christmas bonus ninyo? Sa ATRAM ba o sa SLAMC? Kasi pwede namang both. But again, as much as we would still like to accommodate and answer all the other remaining questions, I'm afraid we have not enough time anymore. So please, just expect your BDOs to get in touch with you and help them and help answer your queries. But before we put our program to a close, of course, may we please get some final words or any message from our three speakers, starting off with Ms. Lurcy, then Benj, and of course, finally, Boss Rex.
Okay, so my last message. So thank you again, ka-RFFs. It's always an engaging session with you, and I appreciate the Rampver team for always conducting this educational sessions. So I checked kanina lang, it's 71 days na lang pala before Christmas, and the title of our webinar is Countdown to Christmas. So ka-RFFs, I encourage you to give yourself the gift of prosperity, because from what we have heard this afternoon from Boss Rex and Benj, it's gonna be they gave out positive market outlooks for next year. So I encourage you to give yourself the gift of investments. Now consider entering the markets now. Thank you again for your time this afternoon.
Okay. From myself, I just want to say thank you to all of those who attended today's webinar, and thank you as well to Boss Rex and team for having us here to share our insights. Siguro just to piggyback on what Lurcy said regarding malapit na ang Christmas. So of course, it's a time of spending, as we all know. We're all buying gifts for everyone. But of course, as Lurcy said also, put some money aside for yourself as well. Because to echo what Boss Rex also said earlier, don't come into the market when it's too late already. So at this point, if you want to start investing, it's never too late. If you are investing already, keep investing as well. And just to echo what we said at the start of the presentation, ATRAM is here to help you on your investment journey. And as we are proud partners of Rampver, we will help you through Rampver as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bench. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Lurcy. Again, this won't be possible without the support of both SLAMC and ATRAM. Both of you, Lurcy and Bench, have always been very supportive of us. We really, really thank you for that. Angel, Gemma, alam ko wala kayo on screen, but you're staunch supporters of our ka-RFFs. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all of them. All of these things are only made possible with your support, with your presence. Ako, iba yung anggulo ko. Siguro, hindi lang para sa inyo na tatanggap ng Christmas bonus. Maybe we should also think about not just ourselves and our financial future. Maybe we should also give worthwhile gifts. And when we say worthwhile gifts, siguro napakaganda nung yung iririgalo mo, hindi pwedeng i-consume within the season. Kasi pag binigyan mo ng pera, gagastusin yan within the season, ubus na yan. Binigyan mo ng regalo, yung damit, susuotin yan within the season, na-enjoy na yan. Alam nyo ngayon, to open a mutual fund account, to open a Ramper online account, all you need is 1,000 pesos eh. 1,000 pesos. What does that mean? Kung ninang ka, magbibigay ka ng aginaldo sa mga inaanak mo, why don't you give them a mutual fund account? Why don't you give them the blessing of a great start for a financial journey? Especially kung, di ba, mahaba pa ang runway nila, mabibigyan nyo sila ng number one, position in the market. Number two, syempre, since meron na silang account, mapipilitan silang matuto very early. And you actually bless them with a mindset of an investor, not a spender. For me, that's a very, very important gift. And if we have the chance to share this kind of responsibility and accountability for a lot of people through the gifts we're going to buy, maybe this is a great chance to do it. So, Merry Christmas advance to everyone, and I hope you keep us in mind for your merrymaking during this season. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much again to our dear speakers, Mr. Benjamin Bitong, Ms. Lurcy Cuenca, and Mr. Rex Mendoza. We can't hear your applause live right now, but please do react with claps and hearts right in our Zoom chat. But again, may we invite everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on TikTok at Ramper Financials to experience how we help people fulfill financial dreams.